Hello friends, welcome to this video. It is now not a secret that securing a UK visa sponsorship job is not as easy as it sounds. But in this video, I'm going to share with you all the tips and tricks that you need to know in order to secure yourself a UK visa sponsorship job. And why should you believe me, you may ask? Well, because I recently secured myself a UK visa sponsorship job that has enabled me to bring my entire family to the UK. So I thought to myself, why not share with my friends who might also be looking for similar opportunities and might be struggling to find that visa that can help them bring their families to the UK. So this video is going to cover what visa sponsorship is, for those who are not familiar with what visa sponsorship jobs are all about. Then we are also going to look at the most commonly visa-sponsored UK jobs, how you can prepare yourself to secure a visa sponsorship job in the UK, where to find these jobs, and how you can significantly increase your chances of being given a UK visa sponsorship job. So if this is something that is of interest to you, all you need to do is to make sure that you watch this video until the very end and don't be tempted to skip any parts. So let's go. So what is a visa sponsored job? I know most of us have an idea of what this really is, but put in simple terms, visa sponsorship is an arrangement where a UK employer issues you with a certificate of sponsorship, which has a unique license number and a unique certificate number, which you are going to use when you are applying for your skilled worker visa. Of course, even students are given visa sponsorships by their universities, but for today, we are not going to talk about students, we are talking about skilled workers. As you know, the UK uses what they call a point-based system to determine whether or not they should grant you a skilled worker visa. And in total, you must have a minimum of 70 points. Maybe I'll talk about how these points exactly are awarded in a separate video, but for today, let's focus on how you can secure that visa-sponsored job. But all I wanted to mention in this video is that once you have that certificate of sponsorship, you have already scored 20 points. And that significantly increases your chances of UKVI granting your skilled worker visa. So in brief, that is what visa sponsorship is about. So the employer might go ahead and pay for your visa application fees. Some employers can even pay for your air ticket and give you accommodation, but all that is just additional benefits. But in real sense, visa sponsorship just means the ability for an employer to issue you that certificate of sponsorship. And in most cases, they'll go ahead and pay for your visa application fees. So basically, that is it. Next, we want to look at which are the most commonly sponsored work visas. So in this category, we have the skilled workers, which is generally for all professions like engineers, lawyers, pharmacists, and the rest. But other than this general one, we also have other subcategories that are specific to specific professions or specific work arrangements. And these are the health and care worker visa. This is probably one of the most misunderstood visa, because most people think that the health and care worker visa is for only those who are coming to work as healthcare assistants. No, anybody in the medical profession applies for this visa. So as long as you are coming to work in the health industry or in the care industry in which the healthcare assistants fall, you are all under the health and care work visa. So if you're coming as a doctor, you're coming as a nurse, you're coming as a dentist, you're coming as a healthcare assistant, and all those to do with health and care, you are all under the health and care work visa. What differentiates them is the job codes. And job codes is also a topic of another day. In fact, you cannot make a video that can exhaust all the job codes, because the job codes are as many as the job categories. But for today, all we need to know is that all health workers, all care workers fall under the health and care worker visa. And that is one of the most sponsored visa type. The next most sponsored visa type is the charity worker. If you haven't watched my videos on charity worker visas, all you need to do is just click right here and you watch them. I have a video on how to get the job, how to make a CV on it, and how to increase your chances of being hired as a charity worker. This is one of the most sponsored visa type. So if you're interested in coming as a charity worker, please make sure that you check out that video and find out the roles that they may be having. If one or two are suitable for you, apply and come. The other type is the seasonal worker. That one is also one of the most sponsored visa type. And in fact, I made a video about that also. If you are interested, you can just click right here and you watch it and see if it is something that interests you, go ahead and apply. But of course, we also have other visa types. We have visa types like global talent, we have innovator visas, we also have other types of visas that you can check out. But these four that I have mentioned are the most commonly sponsored visa types in the UK. Now that we know which categories are most commonly sponsored, what we want to answer next is, how do I prepare myself to get one of these roles? So here are some of the things that you can do to ensure that you are adequately prepared for an opportunity which shows up when you are looking for one. So firstly, if you know that you are in a regulated profession, for example, you're a lawyer, you're a nurse, you're a dentist, you're an engineer, and any other regulated profession, before you even start looking for any jobs, make sure you get the required license. By regulated profession, we mean any profession that has a governing body. For example, the nurses have the NMC, the dentists have the GDC, and then the doctors also have theirs, engineers have, lawyers have. So that is what we are referring to. So if you fall under that category, you'll be wasting time if you have not yet got the license to practice in your profession, unless you are looking for a role outside your profession. But if you want to practice your profession, the first thing you need to do is to make sure that you get the required licenses. The next thing that you will want to do is to make sure that you do your IELTS or any other approved English language test. You can do IELTS, you can do OET, depending on what kind of professional you are. And if it's IELTS, I would encourage you to aim for at least band 7. Even though there are other jobs that can take less than band 7 IELTS score. But of course, these jobs also have many applicants, so they are highly competitive. This English language test is not actually required when you're applying for a job. However, when you have already got the opportunity and you're applying for your work visa, UKVI is the one that requires you to have it. As I mentioned earlier, that the skilled work visa is based on a point system. So having the right English language score also adds to the weight of the points that you require to get your skilled worker visa. Otherwise, you might actually get the job and the employer gives you an offer, but then your skilled worker visa gets refused. And that would be very unfortunate, and you don't want that to happen. So to make sure that you are fully prepared, have your English language test report ready. The third thing that you want to do that most people actually don't get to think about is that you need to have a UK address. If you have a friend in the UK who can allow you to use their address as your address, I would recommend that you ask them to allow you to do that, because it gives you a starting point of searching for a job. However, you should be open to going to any place in the UK, because if you restrict yourself to a certain area, then you are limiting your chances. But if you are open to going anywhere in the UK, then your chances will be increased. As we are going to see later, even when you are looking for these jobs, having an address entered in helps to give you a starting point when you are searching for these jobs. So if you have a friend or a relative living in the UK, request them to let you use their address so that you can get to start from that point. So having prepared yourself to get these jobs, one thing that I need to point out is how you can increase your chances of securing a job opportunity once you find one. And under this, there are basically two most important things that you must do correctly. The very first one is to make sure that you create a UK standard CV. I don't know how many times I've emphasized on writing the right kind of CV when you are looking for a UK job, but I cannot overemphasize it. That's why I keep repeating. Employers in the UK don't have time to read long CVs. And in most cases, they look for keywords. And if the applicants are many, they use a software to filter for the keywords. If your CV is written incorrectly, it gets rejected even before it is actually read by a human being. And my friends, you don't want that to happen to you. I don't want that to happen to you, and I'm sure you also don't want that to happen to yourself. So what you must make sure is that your CV is concise. Keep it 2 pages maximum. Just make sure you write only the important things. For example, under your personal details, all you need is your name, your contact, your email, and your address. Don't put your marital status, don't put your age, don't put your ethnicity, you don't put any other of those things, because if they are required, you will be asked to provide at the point of the job offer. The next thing that you want to make sure is that you use a professional format. That means don't use any colors, don't use any photos, use an acceptable format and clear headings. And then you have to make sure that you highlight the relevant experience. And that is also why I always emphasize that you should tailor your CV according to the job description of the role that you are applying for. When I was still looking for jobs, especially when I was still a student here, because at that point I was not really selective of which kind of job I wanted any part-time job for a student. I had several kinds of CVs which are tailored for whichever job I was applying for. It was very unlikely that you'll find 2 of my CVs that are exactly the same, because I have different kinds of experiences. So I would just look at the job description, then I look at my experiences, I pick out only what is relevant, I include in the CV for that job that I'm applying for, and I leave out all the rest that are not particularly relevant for that job role. And I encourage you to do the same. Don't put all your experience under one job application, and yet some of the experience is not applicable to the job you are applying for. And most importantly, if you have any UK experience, make sure you don't leave it out. Any kind of UK job experience is very important to UK employers. So make sure that you include that one. In fact, for that case, you can include even when it is not particularly relevant, because it is relevant in its own right as UK experience. And then as part of your CV, make sure that whenever you're applying for a job, you write a relevant, convincing cover letter. You have to tell the employer why you think you are a best fit for that advertised job role. Doing this does not only enable you to stand out, but it also helps you to include those relevant details that you would not include in your CV because you wanted it to be short, but now you can put them in your cover letter. But make sure you actually write something that is relevant and specifically important for the role that you are applying for. Research the role and make sure that what you write in your cover letter matches with the job description. Once you do this, you would have significantly increased your chances of securing that job. The second thing that you need to do to improve your chances of being hired is to prepare for the interview. A UK job interview can last anything between 5 minutes and 1 hour, and you have no idea of what they are going to ask you. And in most cases, they are going to ask questions about you in relation to the job or something in relation to the company. By the time I went for my job interview, I had already researched about the company when it started, the number of employees, charity activities they're involved in, and this actually already aligned with my own personal beliefs and interests. And then of course I had researched about the job role, so when I was asked whether I really understand what the role is all about, I was able to tell them in depth. And so my interview, instead of lasting 1 hour, lasted less than 15 minutes. So what I'm trying to say is that you must research the company, research the role, research everything that you need to know about the role and the company. And then you must also be able to convince the employer that the kind of person they are looking for that role matches the qualities and experience that you have. In other words, you have to convince the interviewer that you are the best fit for the role. You can also look for common UK interview questions and find answers to them. And then you should also be able to demonstrate to the interviewer that you are flexible, you are able to relocate anywhere in the UK, because most of these companies do not only have one outlet, they have several outlets. So some cases they might hire you in one area, and then for one reason or another, they might need to shift you to a different location. So you must demonstrate that you are flexible enough to be able to relocate to a different area. And then the other thing that you want to do is make sure is acquire UK certification, small certifications. Using myself as an example, much as I am a trained and qualified dentist, I knew how important it is in the UK to be able to do things like first aid, CPR, and so forth. So I had to go online and find UK courses on first aid, CPR, and things like that. And I had to do them and obtain those certifications. Doing this signals two things to the employer: that you are proactive and you are interested in the role that you are applying for. Secondly, it indicates to the employer that you are concerned about your own professional development. You are interested in acquiring new knowledge. But behind all of this is the fact that you have a UK certification. It also carries a lot of weight for you to have those little certifications under your CV. Alright, now that we have seen what you can do to increase your chances of being hired, the big question is, so where do we get these jobs? But before we move into that, if you are finding any value at all in this video, please make sure that you give it a thumbs up. And if you are new here, welcome to the home of opportunities. Here we share opportunities, be it work opportunities or study opportunities. So before you leave, make sure that you hit that subscribe button, and to ensure that you don't miss out on future opportunities, make sure that you turn on the notification bell so that you get notified each time we post a new video. Thank you for doing that. So let's continue. So where do we find these jobs? Well, some of the best websites to find UK visa-sponsored jobs, I'm not saying all, but some of the best, include the UK government website. Yes, that very official UK government website, gov.uk. In fact, I always tell people that almost anything you want to find out about the UK is in gov.uk. So that also includes jobs with visa sponsorship. Alternatively, you could look for the UK licensed visa sponsors. It's a list of so many thousands of employers, and you could filter them according to which kind of job category you are looking for. And if you don't know where to find this list of UK licensed sponsors, you can check under the description. There is a link that you can download the entire list, and then you can filter them according to your preference. The other websites are LinkedIn, Indeed, Total Jobs, Track, Job Board, read.co.uk. Now with all this information, you guys are ready to secure yourselves a UK visa sponsorship. But if you have any queries, please make sure that you leave them under the comment section, or you can contact me directly by email. Otherwise, thank you for watching. See you in the next one.